Hi there, this is Dawn, and welcome back to my art room and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's lovely to have you join me and for me to know that you're there cheering me on lots of times and leaving me lots of lovely comments. I really, really appreciate your support. So today I'm going to work on the construction of the bag. Turn some lights on, that'd be a help, wouldn't it? Oh, sorry. Had some toast before and it just stuck in my throat. I finished all of the panels, so they're all sitting there waiting to be added. So they're doing that, sitting there looking at me. I've done work on, wibbling you around like that. I've done work on the base panel. I haven't quite got there yet, finished yet. It's very close. So what I needed to do was to add some extra strips because these were the words, so I couldn't fit them all in a straight line, so they go like that. That's the first verse, second verse, and the last one. But I found that where I'd cut the fabric, it was just fraying away furiously, and I didn't really want to glue sort of like in the middle. Probably should have. So I tried overstitching it here and looked like nothing that I wanted to have. So I thought, I'll just stick some little bits of fabric over there. It's not going to matter. This is the base. The majority of the time, unless you tip it upside down, you're not going to see it. But they often fall off my cabinet and land on the floor upside down and everything falls out of them. So I've started working on, as well, putting together some little bits and pieces of fabric. These are for the tabs at the top for the cord. So yeah, I picked out some of the lovely Alice fabric, some squishy little bits of lace. I need to add some to this one and then hand stitch those on. And the other thing that I have done is I've put together the inside of the bag with not the base. I haven't done that one yet, but because I didn't know if I was going to have to make this sort of like inside and outside in one piece just to give it a bit of stability. But I found that once I added all of the bits of linen, excuse me, very croaky this morning. So let's go back a step. I went and had a look at what I've done, and here's one of my bags. I'm going to have to lift you way, way up before you can see this one. It's a bag that I made from some embroideries that I'd done, which were Rosalie Quinlan's embroideries. Goodness, is that light awful? Yeah, there we go. It was awful for me then. I doesn't want to stand up, silly thing. Stop it. And so then I just used fabrics that I thought went with it, some of which are hers, some not. I don't think the stripe is, but some of these are hers. These are yarn dyed ones that I loved, and then lined it with her fabric as well. And I've got some of her fabric stored in here, pattern. Certainly not all the fabrics of hers that I own. And then once I'd machine stitched the lining together, I put it inside and hand stitched it around. So in actual fact, the lining and the outside are two separate. And so I thought, I'm just going to do the same thing. This one, it just utilised all of the stitches, embroidery stitching that I had of hers that I'd been doing over time. and collecting. I didn't really know what else I wanted to do with it. Cool. All right. Rosalie Decker Designs. That's one of hers from Creative Abundance. I don't know if they're still going. I should look that up, but Rosalie Decker Designs are available in some patchwork shops. Her fabrics are still available, but whether Creative Abundance, which was her sister, are still going, I'm not sure. They used to be right near where I lived, which was just lovely. And then prior to Rosalie getting sick again, they closed the shop, which I was just devastated about. I used to love just going there for the sake of going there. That was a cute little bit of lace that I just found out of my scrappy lace box. These are the little bits that I cut off things and, you know, save for a rainy day. They're just little bits and pieces of stuff that end up in here. Probably could have done with that when I was dyeing. Leave that one out of there. Some daisies. No. What about this one? It's a bit more than a scrap. So these are the little tabs. Yeah, I'll put that one in there. That was kind of about there. No real measuring going on. So with these, what I've done is, do you need to know the size? 8-inch square, remember, for, you know, the basic bag. Gosh, you're way up high now, I can't even see you. So this would have been about probably 3.5 inches that way and nearly 3.5 inches that way. And then I fold it in half when I make it because that's where the cord goes. So rather than do anything else crazy, I've just done a little over, you know, did a double fold and stitched it on the machine while I had the machine going for the lining. I've done that. That's open. They'll then, on the raw edge, tuck inside the top of the bag, and, you know, you put your cord in through there. Good. All right, so that's where I'm headed with this. So just as a quick catch up. Oh, that toast is going to stick in my throat. I probably need to go and get a drink of water. I don't need that on the bottom. So all I've done is stitched around it. So I'll show you what I'm doing so you know. Today, after I've done this bit, because it's morning, is tidy out my art room. I am just needing to reorganise some things in there. It's just got to be, it feels a bit like a dumping ground. You know, it's like when I don't know where else to put it, I just stick it somewhere, like on a shelf or a bench or in the middle of my table or something. And I've got my book case is a cabinet with glass doors, an old one that I brought with me, chock-a-block. And I brought all the books with me, and I just think I probably just need to go through them and work out what exactly I need, because now the newer books, and I bought another one today as well. I've done a bit of online shopping. I've done tidy up in the house. I've got myself sorted for tea because I've got a friend coming for tea, and so yeah. But I thought, I saw this and I just went, oh, you know, I'm procrastinating about the tidying up. Did you notice that? Hate tidying up. But the bookcase has got to be ridiculous. And so it needs a bit of a sort out. So when I was at my daughter's on the weekend for Easter, I had a collection of children's books from when I was young. They're nothing special, but they are older books and older stories. And I said to her, do you want these? Because if you don't, they're going to the op shop. I mean, really, they're probably too good to just pull apart. They came with an encyclopedia set my mum and dad bought. And my sister's got the encyclopedias because she's got an old house with built-in sort of like library shelves, wall in her, well, she uses it as a dining room, but they're built in. And they go to the ceiling, and she's like, oh, I really need something to fill the space because it looks silly. Nothing that they really want to look at, because who looks at an encyclopedia anymore? Just Google it. And so I said, we'll have those. And she didn't want the children's ones. And then, I just kept them because my mum and dad had given them to me because I fancied having them. And then now I don't want them. They've been stuck in a cupboard and they're just taking up precious space that I could use something else for. So my daughter said she'll have them, so that's good. I don't have to feel too bad about, some things you just, I just need to get over it, but I feel bad throwing them away. Well, I wasn't ever going to throw them away. I was going to send them to the op shop, but she'll probably send them to the op shop now, and that's all right. Somebody else will enjoy them. But, her kids are now old enough to be reading, and they might find it interesting. They're sort of 10 big, thick books, and they're about, I don't know, not quite A4, but not far off. But, old-fashioned stories, so she just thought it would still be nice to have. She's got a bit more, she's interested in sort of hanging on to stuff much more so than my son. Wouldn't even give it house room. He'd be just like, Mum, get a life. Take it to the op shop or chuck it. I don't want it. But she'll go, oh, no, don't throw it out. I'll have it. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that was all about me tidying up my bookshelf, my book cabinet, so that one of the shelves that I have in here that I could use for precious storage could be, could have the books there that I've got stored on it, because it's just kind of like a convenient thing. They don't need to be out. I just didn't have anywhere else to put them. So this has got quite bulky, and I'm quite happy about that. I just think I didn't want to stiffen it, but I just think it'll give the base, a bit of weight. So yeah, so that's really all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else with that, with those little bits. I'm just thinking I probably need, where's that brown one? Oops. Where was that? Can't remember. Oh, here. Just thinking, does it need another bit there? It's just that this linen, it just frayed like crazy, and I remember Susanna having just as much fun with it as I am, and I glued them. Put just a thin layer of. That's probably what I should have just done there. Oh, silly me. Never mind. Alice is in there as well. We are all mad here. It didn't rip nicely. It I'm throwing this stuff in the. I'm going to throw them a scrap in the lace bucket. Yeah, when it ripped, it pulled the thread rather than, well, it ripped it as well, but it didn't rip nicely, so I didn't always rip it, but it got this fluffy edge on it as well, which it not, you know, well, you don't want it to be neat and, well, I don't want it to be neat and tidy all the time, but I don't need it to look like it's growing. And this almost does. It needs to come down there, so it is going to, this is just going to be a patchwork in there. But like I said, it's the base. And it's just how I'm trying to resolve this fraying issue. I probably didn't really need a bit of Alice under there, did I? Oh well, it's a double layer now. I'm thinking if I pull that up to there and then add the caterpillar words in here. Yeah, that's a bit better. I'm just keep picking up all these funny bits that I've had. Left over of those Alice scraps. Oh, shame, shame, shame. It's a shame, not shameful. It's a shame, but I just didn't have enough of the Alice fabric to line the bag with. I really wanted to. You know, it was because I had four squares this size, 3 of which were from lovely people, not quite a square, more rectangle. 3 of the lovely people from the Ballarat retreat swapped or gifted me theirs. They said they weren't going to use them, and because I asked if anybody had, and I could have bought some, but you know, it's always nice to swap and have a memory. Well, now I can't use them because I used one for all my scrappy bits and I only had 3 and they weren't quite 8 inches. You know, silly me, I didn't even measure it when we were there. But I'm kind of thinking that I might do something. So stay tuned for that one. I haven't quite... that one's a bit longer. Let's try that one in there. I just like to do this way. Do I need any more? No. Well, there's a bit there, but it might actually be all right. I just don't want it to fray away anymore, and that's what it's going to do. I'm going to pin that because I keep losing the bits. Losing the bits. Good, you can go there. Oh, goodness. So far up you can't see a jolly thing. Where's that? Ah, there. Saw the line, but I didn't realise. I moved you way, way up. Way, way up. Yes, it's a bit of a patchwork quilt in the back here, but it just needed to be. It just needed to be in order for it not to be And even though it's going to be sitting on a cabinet, it still has that risk of, it's still at risk of fraying madly away. And I don't want it to do that. I'm, trying to be careful of these edges here. It's the only square that hasn't got glue on it. Yes, I know, probably should have put glue on it, but I didn't. I thought I'd be done by now and I'd be able to rescue it, but I'm still faffing around. You can still mostly read the words. I haven't covered them up too much. Those ones are done. Good. Okay, so that's where I'm going. That's how I'm doing it. I think you've probably seen enough for this little bit, and I'll come back when I'm ready to get going on the next bit. Okay, talk to you in a sec. I've been working on it, on it. I've been working on it. I've been working on my Japanese rice bag. I've completed the lining. I sewed it all by machine, so all 4 panels and the base. And then I realised that I didn't have enough of the Alice fabric to make the lining, so I thought I'll just make an edge to go around. So I've hand stitched it on the inside edge, and then I've folded over just a small amount that will go over to the wrong side, so that when it attaches to the bag, it'll already have that edge there stitched in. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. But the way that I've been putting the panels together is by a blanket stitch. I wanted to make sure I was catching all of this linen in and sealing it, because it's it's fraying quite a bit. So I'm just going with my thread from the back to the front and then hooking through the loop to create the bar that goes across there. As I go along, each of the sides and the bottom, I'm kind of putting everything in together. Oh, did I show you the bottom finished? I don't know if I showed you the bottom finished. That's what it looks like. The thing that I need to do is to make sure that I don't go all the way to the very corner, because I'm stitching the base in almost at the same time. So I need to leave just that 1/4 inch so that when I come to join the base, there's room for it. I'll show you, I'm nearly there. And then yeah, I'll be ready once I've done these few sides. I've only got 2 sides and one panel to connect to the base. So I'm nearly done. Nearly done. No, I've only got one side. Got this side here and the base, so yeah. 2. I did all the tabs for the cord. They are all completed, just hand stitched around the little bits to finish those off. All those little bits and pieces all kind of need to be done prior to getting it finished. I mean, I could have done the lining after I've done this, but thought, yeah, just do it this way. All right, so I'm kind of like about 1 stitch off the corner, And so by leaving that open, I can then add the bottom to there. So it creates kind of a nice corner. You'll see as I get there. Just using these clips because it's too hard to pin and I just want to keep them together. So again, I'm just going to trek the thread across because I'm actually not going to catch that corner in just yet till I'm ready to finish that. So tracking the thread under, I'm trying to do it back to front, sorry. Leave that little 1/4 inch again. So when I come to do the final piece, that will be when I pull all those corners in. But if I stitch them all shut, I'll just end up having folds and it wouldn't have a nice finish. Well, I did what I said I was going to do. I tidied up my art room. Oh my gosh, what a difference I made. I didn't really get the bookshelf sorted. Well, I did. I tidied it up. Didn't get in all the books that I wanted to get in. Some are still out. So I've yet to have another play with it, but I'm a bit of a book hoarder. I hate to get rid of them. And so I probably just wasn't in the headspace for that, getting rid of books, any books today. But I did make a vast improvement of things, at least have been put away, found new homes for, reorganised some cupboards and some shelving spaces, just trying to make it work a bit better because it wasn't working the way it was. Had a bit of a reshuffle with things. So, mind you, often when I do those jobs, I go to look for something and can't remember where I put it. Does that happen to you? I think that's a good spot for it. Makes sense to me on the day, and then when I go to look for it, it's not where I think it should be. Sometimes can take me a little bit of time to find it. But I just wanted things a bit more accessible than they were. I didn't really throw anything out. I didn't throw anything out. Just never know if I'm going to need it. So I don't want to throw things away. And I've really got to be in a good mood, in that sort of clean out mood to do that. But it's definitely way better than it was. It's great. And it's so nice. My table's clear. Hasn't been clear, I don't think, since Christmas. And it just seems the more projects I do, the worse it becomes. I'm just burying that end of that thread in there. But I'll show you how I'm joining the corner. And then I can come back when I am ready to add the lining. So those 3 corners now all have some space to sit together nicely. So I hope you can see that. So I'm going to come back over here, and then come over here. But had I done sort of right to the end, then there would have been nowhere for this bit to go. So that's the reason behind doing that. Even if I'd done those 2, then there's nowhere for this bit to join. So by doing it, by leaving them all open, so they've each got their own little spot to connect together. They make a nice little point. And more for when you're doing seams on the outside like this one is. I didn't want to fold the seams in and lose anything of the design, because the design goes fairly close to the edges, and that was just how it worked out, cutting it, cutting them out of the one piece, because I've cut them out of a panel, and it was just working out how best to make that work. All right, cool, go back to here. So I'm burying my knot inside and coming up just before the last of those stitches, and then holding those 3 points together. And one over here. And then one over here. And so all those points now are all held in nice and tight. I've got a nice neat corner here. I will have that thread sits nicely. Yep. Good. Now I can just work my way back down this side till I get to the top. So once all my panels are all joined, I will come back and we'll add the lining and the tabs, and yahoo, I'll be nearly done and I can get on to the next project, but at least I've got a lovely clean tidy table. Very happy with that. Well, it was always clean, it just wasn't very tidy. Cool. All right, so there's how those stitches are all sitting in there. You can just see they just kind of bury themselves, but it's sort of like a stitch here, a stitch there, a stitch there, a stitch there. That's how that corner's sitting. Alrighty, I'll keep working and I'll come back. I'm on the last corner and I thought I'd come back and show you just again how I did that corner. I mean, it's not, you can't really see it because the thread's, matching thread, and it's not making a fuss of itself. I guess if it was a contrasting colour, you might be able to see it better, but I didn't want it to be a contrasting colour. So again, I've got three panels that are coming to a point. Oh, goodness. And the thread's jammed on my thimble. I am using a pearl crochet cotton that's nice and strong. So again, I've got those 3 little points that aren't, where I haven't taken the seam. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit over then. I haven't taken my stitches all the way to the end. I've left that little, just really 1 stitch width. That's not joined. All the same. So all I did before was take the stitch to where the other stitches are meeting. Going to have knots and all sorts of things now. All right, I've got this one as well. So I'm going to take the thread through to there, underneath, just sort of through that corner. But I'm going to catch the loop so that I also get that stitch there. And again, bringing it over to there and catching that loop. So I just found that this gives me a nice, neat corner. And if I need to do one more stitch, because I might have been a bit generous with that one, I can. So there's my corners again, all meeting nice and flat. So as you can see there, that little, it's like a little crow's foot, you know, like a bird, just two there. It'll be the same here. There's one here, one here. Got an extra bit in there. I'm actually going to come through there and take one more stitch because there's just a little bit of a gap. Done. There we go. There's the corner. It's all nice and neat. This is that fabric. It's just frays away while I look at it. Good. Hopefully that wasn't too complicated a process. And now I'll just bury that thread again in there somewhere. Good. All right. So now, let me just take you up a bit so you get a bit better of a view. Now I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that I keep you. All right, I know that you're there. I'm just trying to take you further away just so you can get a decent view. All right, so wrong side of the lining to the wrong side of the bag, and then just match the seams that I did to those seams. That's all I'm going to do for starters. I've pinned this to the inside just for now, and I'm going to transfer those pins so that might just make them go like that. All right, again, seam to seam. I cut the lining squares out at 8 inches. I didn't add any seam allowance simply because you know, I've seamed it here, but also when you're doing a fair bit of thread work, you can shrink, you know, like this sort of amount of work here will shrink the square in. But within Kui, I can ease it in. Good. Now, these are the little tabs that I made. So again, I machine hemmed it by doubling it, doing it twice, doubled over, and then I just hand stitched these little bits and pieces on here, folded in half with that machine end there and the raw edge here, and then somewhere in the middle of that square, let's see, is that the best one for there? I might have the caterpillar words here. Now, you can measure it or you can eyeball it, and I'm going to eyeball it. I can go back and have a little measure if I'm concerned at all, but I'm not really. like I said, if those sorts of things bother you, then definitely measure it. Now, to measure it, we could go half there and half there. No, you know, the eyeball's not too bad, is it? I was lucky. Lucky that worked. And you're on screen. It was luck. But I feel like I can kind of work out vaguely where it's going to go. But like I said, if you're worried about it, you can measure it. All right. Again, just ease them. You know, sometimes you can pull it up a bit tight. All right. What have we got here? Cup of tea here. That will do. All right. Half of that. Put a pin in there. Then half of this to that halfway point, and there. That pin is going to go there. Oh, sorry, all fingers and thumbs trying to hold everything in place here. So that was about where I folded it. Tuck it in there, pin it into place. Another pin in here. Yeah, I thought that was a bit generous on that side. And all I'm going to do around the top edge now is exactly the same as the seams. Sorry, I'm holding it right up in the air in your face, am I? I tried to move that camera so that wouldn't happen. Hopefully it's not too crazy. All right, there's another one. Want a cup of tea? Yep, let's put Alice with the rabbits. All right, fold it like that. Fold it in half. Put a pin in it where the halfway point is. Fold this panel in half, seams to seams, till you find that centre point-ish. Pop that in there, that centre point. And pop the pin in here. There's another pin in here somewhere. There. Nearly there. Nearly. All right. The centre is there. The centre is there. And we're done. Cool. All right, I'm going to show you this, how I join this one here. And then I'm going to hop off and finish stitching. So hopefully, yep, I think I might have stayed on screen, which was good. Again, the crochet cotton. Now, what we can't do is a blanket stitch because we haven't got an edge to go over. So the way that I'm going to do that is that I'm going to actually start with where the blanket stitch would finish off. Well, do I need to do a blanket stitch or can I just do a straight stitch all the way around? Actually, no, I'm gonna do blanket stitch because I did it for the rest. I was thinking I could just do a straight stitch. Sorry, Paul's coughing in the background there. It's night time now and the temperature is considerably cooler. We've had the warmest days and the warmest nights up until today, and even though the day itself was still warm, it's actually cooled down for the first time. And I can, I've got nothing, jacket on, but I'm feeling a little cooler. All right, here's where I need to now do a running stitch. It's quite thick. It's not going to be a scooping affair. So just making sure that I'm going to go reasonably straight-ish. Just going to watch what's going on the back here. Yeah, see, if you're not watching what you're doing, you can go in on an angle. Whoop. All right, that's all I'm going to do. When I get to the end of the tab, I'll pick up the blanket stitch again, just making sure that I'm catching that. I've just decided to put one tab on each panel. You might want to put more than that. You might want to have two smaller ones, here on each panel. But I'm not going to bother. I haven't even got string in all of my bags. I just haven't bothered because they just sit on my, one of my shelves with nice things in them. I don't feel the necessity to have the drawstring. There's lots of videos out there making these, but a couple of years ago, Corinne from To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne, she did a series, so she's got it on a playlist making them. But if you just put it into your search engine on YouTube, making a Japanese rice bag, you'll be surprised how many videos come up, like lots and lots. So yep, if my instructions haven't really suited what you want to do, you might want to go and have a look and see if there's somebody doing one that's going to work slightly better for you. And really, this was for me to use up these panels because I didn't want to do, Susanna did a book and hers is gorgeous, but I didn't want a book. I felt like I've done a lot of books just sort of lately and didn't want another one, and thought this was probably a really good way of using these panels up in a meaningful way. All right, I'm going to leave that needle there for a minute. Hopefully that was reasonably clear. It's actually quite a big bag, which is good because, oh yeah, sorry, all I'm doing is pushing the lining in. So you can see how the lining went all the way in. That little bit of edging there just gives it an edge. My panels are working together nicely. Fold that one in there and that one in there so that you can see them. The little mouse. That was the one that I combined all the bits together. The bird, the bunnies, and the little poem. Thank you, Susanna, for creating this little project. The panel of embroidery ideas, and I've had fun doing it. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I've progressed with this. I can't wait to see it on the bench. I'm going to put all my bits and pieces, in particular the things that I got, you know, that I dyed, all my laces and things, because I've used so many of them in this project. I thought it'd be a really good one to keep my laces in, and because it's a bit bigger, the others are only 6.5, I think. But this one's a bit bigger, being the 8 inches, so it'll be good. Hold all my laces in. Once I'm done, I'll take a photo. Cool. All right, I hope this finds you all really well, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now. Hello, I thought I'll take a video of my finished bag. I've put it on my Lazy Susan cheese platter, sorry, a bit wibbly. I saw somebody do this and I thought, oh, that was really clever. I'm going to do that too. Cool. All right, and so I'm pretty happy with how it all ended up. That's the inside of the bag. I'll take a photo of it next to my other ones. Go a bit slower this time. So don't forget, if you want this this panel, it's available on Vintage Blend Studios website. Okay, see ya.